Okay, so in today's video I'm going to be looking at part 5 of the proficiency exam, the reading and use of English section, where we have a long text and 6 multiple choice questions to answer. And yeah, this is the first video I've made in about a week, 5 days, something like that, because I've had a sore throat, so I haven't been able to speak really, which is kind of important for these videos. Anyway, I'm going to switch the camera off now and I'm going to go straight into the exam task. Let's see how good your reading comprehension is. Is it proficient? We'll see. Okay, so let's just go for it, I guess, really. Right, it says, why libraries matter in today's technological world. Okay, right. Municipal libraries are perhaps one of the most enduring public institutions, priceless repositories of history. Okay, I think before I get into this, I've said this many times before, if you just read this big block of writing without looking at the questions, I think you're wasting time. There's going to be some really difficult vocabulary, it's going to be really hard to focus, especially when you've got time, you know, the timing of the exam on your mind. I think just read the first question. 31. It says, what point is the writer making about public libraries in the first paragraph? What point is he making, right, the writer? And we can see that there are 4 options. They are struggling to survive in the digital age. They will have to find a completely new purpose. They are taking full advantage of an existing benefit. They may well have to give up their function of storing books. First paragraph, we're going to find the answer to that before we move on to the next question. So we know what information we're looking for. Let's see. What point is the writer making? Municipal libraries are perhaps one of the most enduring public institutions, priceless repositories of history. So saying they're enduring, right? They're still there. They've been there a long time. Okay. And they're repositories of history, language, and culture. The dawn of the information superhighway threatened to make them less relevant, even obsolete. Yet now these institutions are extending their mission well beyond the storage of knowledge. So, the internet, I guess, made libraries less relevant. But now they are moving on to other things. They're not just a place to get knowledge from, because that's what a library was, of course, originally. It was where you get any information for anything, of course, before the internet. Or the television, if you were like me. Indeed, to distinguish themselves in a world where Google is well on its way to digitally scanning most of the books ever written, libraries are learning to avail themselves of the simple fact that they are centrally located in almost every community in the USA. In other words, libraries now see success being linked to their role as public places and destinations. Right, so they're kind of, they're becoming something else, right? They're central, they're in the center of most cities in the USA, I guess everywhere really. And they're seeing themselves as a place, a destination, rather than just a place where knowledge is stored, a source of information. So they are struggling to survive in the digital age. Maybe they are, but it doesn't say that, I don't think. They will have to find a completely new purpose. They are taking full advantage of an existing benefit. They may well have to give up their function of storing books. It doesn't say that they're going to stop storing books, and it doesn't say that they will have to completely change, but they will not just be a place for storing knowledge. They will also be, they're gonna sort of rebrand themselves perhaps as sort of public meeting places, because they are already in the center of most cities, you know. So, yeah, I think it's really clear to me that the answer in 31 is C. I'm going to write down my answers. But yeah, I would say C. They are taking full advantage of an existing benefit. Yeah, no doubt about that. In the second paragraph, the writer's purpose is to, so what is the purpose? What does the writer want to do? Warn libraries against trusting in new buildings to attract users. So he's trying to tell the libraries that they shouldn't be getting fancy new buildings. That's a bad idea to attract new customers. That's what they shouldn't be doing. Praise libraries which recognise the benefits of tourism. Is he trying to praise them? And is the reason he is praising them because they're trying to attract, because they realise that tourism is important? Stress the need for libraries to consult local residents. So does he think that they really need to? Is his main purpose to show that libraries should speak to the people in the community before making changes, I guess? Advise libraries to move to more central locations. I think he said in the first paragraph they already are in central locations, but anyway. Let's have a look. While many US cities and towns now recognise the importance of reinventing public libraries as destinations, this awareness doesn't always translate into a well-rounded success. So they need to rebrand them as destinations, right? But it doesn't always work out. The most high-profile new libraries really rely on stylized designs to create buzz, feeding a false perception that public libraries are all about attention-grabbing looks. Sounds like he doesn't like these new buildings, these new modern buildings that are trying to sort of draw everyone in. Yeah, it's what they did with the the public library in the centre of Birmingham in England. Yeah, it's this big gold bird's nest thing. Very strange. But when the tour bus crowds stop coming, these libraries will sink or swim based on how well they serve the needs of their respective communities. Whether they are truly great places, not just eye-catching buildings. Now, warn libraries against trusting in new buildings to attract users. Right, he's saying it could attract tourists, because people will stop and go, oh, look at that amazing building. But that has a limited, lifespan. Sounds like a bit. Praise libraries which recognise the benefits of tourism. No, though he does say, obviously, tourists will come and look at the libraries, but he doesn't think that's the most important thing. He thinks the most important thing about a library is its function within the community, the people that are actually going to use it. So it's not B. Stress the need for libraries to consult local residents. I don't think he says anything about speaking to them. He's just saying that they need to actually work for the people that are going to be using it. The community. I don't think he says consult them. Advise libraries to move to more central locations. Don't think so. I would say it's A. I'd say 32 is A. Yeah, I think he doesn't think it's a great idea to create these big modern buildings, and because that's not ultimately what's going to keep the library afloat. You need people genuinely using it. Is it a genuinely useful place and a good place for people to meet, people in the community? Yeah, I think it's A. Which phrase illustrates a very different and more compelling vision of what it means to be a public place? Which phrase illustrates a very different and more compelling vision of what it means to be a public place? A very different and more compelling vision of what it means to be a very different, so a different idea. It's an original idea, and it's an attractive idea, and a new idea as to what a public place actually is. So let's look at the 4 options. I think we can probably get it from looking at the 4 options without even reading. It says lines 14 to 15, but anyway, it says, they may fly under the radar. Well, that means that something will go unnoticed. So I don't think it's that. Architectural landmarks. That's just like a point of interest now. Community reading room. Community reading room. It's just a place where the community would read. I don't know. Community front porch. Well, a front porch might be a place where people... your front porch is where you might spend time in your own house, particularly in America. You know, they have those porches at the front of their house where they'll sit on their rocking chair with a rifle. And get off my land. Get off my property. Yeah, that sounds like the right idea, D, but let's just read anyway, lines 14 and 15. There are plenty of unsung libraries that embody a very different and more compelling vision of what it means to be a public place. They may fly under the radar as architectural landmarks, so they may go unnoticed in terms of, like, they're not going to be eye-catching modern buildings, but they still garner respect. Respect, praise, and even adoration on account of their innovative management and programming. And then we've got line 19 and 20. Thereby contributing... Yeah. They're still going... They are taking on a larger civic role, balancing their traditional needs and operations with outreach to the wider community, thereby contributing to the creation of a physical commons that benefits the public as a whole. If the traditional model of the library was the inward-focusing community reading room, right, that's the traditional idea, the current one is more like a community front porch. Yeah, it's definitely that one. It's definitely D in 33. The idea that a front porch, it's obviously a private place on your private property, but this is going to be like a community front porch. No? I guess. Pretty abstract ideas here, but okay, yeah. 34. What is the writer emphasizing in the first bracketed comment in the 4th paragraph? So, in the 4th paragraph, right, yeah, we can see it. We can see two bracketed comments. Right, okay. The writer is a woman. Her contempt for the reaction of report writers. So she hates the way report writers have reacted. Her concern for the outdated attitudes of the students. She thinks that the students have an old-fashioned way of thinking about libraries. Her doubt about the range of library users that were questioned, so there must have been some kind of questionnaire survey, and she doesn't think that the method was very good, that they didn't ask a wide enough range of people, I guess. Her distrust regarding the motives of those commissioning the report. She believes that those who did the report, who made the report, had some kind of vested interest, probably, or something. So, 4th paragraph. But what of universities and other academic institutions? What is the value of an academic library in an age of abundant information? A recent report commissioned by the Online Computer Library Centre, focusing on college students, found that they use libraries more than any other demographic group. That they like to help themselves to information. That they are aware of the library's electronic resources, and that they identify libraries with books. but they don't seem to feel that's a bad thing, unlike the so-called experts who authored the report, who revealed deep dismay at the finding. So the people who wrote the report seem to think that it's a good thing that university students are the people that use libraries more than any other demographic group, that they like to help themselves to information, and that they are aware of the library's electronic resources, and that they identify the libraries. They identify libraries with books, but they don't seem to feel that that is a bad thing. The writers, I guess, of the report, unlike the so-called experts who authored the report, who reveal deep dismay with the finding. What's more, they supplement library resources with ones found on the web. No surprise there. Don't we all? They are largely satisfied with services and facilities, and they are strongly attached to the idea of libraries. So is she showing her contempt for the reaction of the report writers? Is she showing her concern for the outdated attitudes of the students? No, I don't think she cares. I don't think she's saying that their attitudes are outdated, and I don't think she's showing concern for their attitudes. She's talking about, I think, the reaction to the information that was collected in the survey. Her doubt about the range of library users that were questioned in the first bracketed comment, I don't think so. Her distrust regarding the motives of those commissioning the report. So those who authored the report, I guess, are not those who commissioned it. They're the people who write it. I see. So the authors of the report don't think it's a bad thing. They think it's a bad thing. I guess those who authored the report, she calls them so-called experts. That shows a bit of contempt for the authors of the report, no? Who reveal deep dismay at the finding. It sounds good, though, doesn't it? It sounds like it's positive that young people are using libraries, yet the people who wrote the report didn't think that that was a good thing. The so-called experts, I think it has to be A. That was a really difficult one, but I think it's A. Yeah, all right. 35. Why does the writer quote the poet Robert Frost's definition of home? I guess we're moving on to the next paragraph. For college students, well, why does she mention Robert Frost's definition of home? To underline the literary value of a library's resources, the literary value of a library's resources, to describe the function an academic library is required to fulfill, to suggest the paternal role taken by some college librarians, to express the sense of comfort libraries used to give their readers. Okay. For college students, the library is like the poet Robert Frost's idea of home. The place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in. They may not want you to be there. They may not have any real curiosity about the topic they are researching, but the library is a gateway to the sources we need. And for at least some students, the librarians are saviors who help them take an assignment and locate sources that will match. To underline the literary value of libraries' resources? I don't think so. To describe the function an academic library is required to fulfill. I think it might be that, right? So Robert Frost describes home. His definition of home is the place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in, right? So home is the place where, obviously, if you have nowhere else to go, you go there and they're obliged to take you in, right? Sort of when someone goes back to their parents' house because they've lost their job and they've got no money, you know, it's like an unwritten contract, you know, you have to take them in, you know? So I think it might be to describe the function an academic library is required to fulfill. Know that they may not be interested in what they are and what you're researching, but they have to sort of help you. Their function is to help you with your assignment and help you locate sources that will match. You know, that's their function. No, that's what they should be doing. To suggest the paternal role taken by some college librarians, I don't think so. To express the sense of comfort libraries used to give their readers, no, I think 35 is B. I think. I'm writing these down and we'll see at the end. In comparing libraries and the internet, the writer is urging libraries to concentrate on doing what they do best. Suggests there is no essential difference between them. Is making the case for the existence of libraries as a separate entity. Appears to regard libraries as an unnecessary luxury. So, final paragraph, it's a long one. Of course, these days, any distinction between... So what are we focusing on? In comparing libraries and the internet, what is the writer doing? Of course, these days, any distinction between library and digital information is obsolete. But there is a valid distinction between printed book and the web, as there is between library and home computer. And the fact is, there are things that the web cannot offer, which any library can. In a library, it's the totality of the experience that matters. The website, the face-to-face services, the catalogue, the collection. Staff are on hand to ensure the user's reaction to the library is positive and productive, especially the novice user. Moreover, a library creates relationships. It develops in users a sense of belonging, both to the library community, whether local or academic, and the wider world of knowledge. In this and other respects, the billions of web pages in existence do not carry the same symbolic weight as the library. It stands for the importance of knowledge, for the access, for the idea that pursuing questions is a valuable human endeavour. We would do well not to dismiss that symbolism as mere nostalgia. The whole idea there is that libraries give you something that the internet doesn't. So is urging libraries to concentrate on doing what they do best? Suggests there is no essential difference between them. Is making the case for the existence of libraries as a separate entity. Appears to regard libraries as an unnecessary luxury. It can't be D, I don't think. Staff are on hand to ensure the user's reaction to the library is positive and productive, especially the novice user. Moreover, a library creates relationships. I don't think he's urging libraries to concentrate on anything. I think he's saying this is what they are. I don't think he's urging them to do anything. Or that would be like saying that they're getting distracted, they're getting sidetracked in other things, and they need to focus on doing what they do best. I don't think that's the tone. Suggests that there is no essential difference. I don't think it's that. I think it's C. Is making the case for the existence of libraries as a separate entity. They're not the same thing as the internet. Yeah. We need to start to understand that they symbolize something that isn't just nostalgia. It isn't just, oh, it's nice to have a library. Oh, it's nice to have a real book. No, they encourage the learner to endeavor. They encourage you to persevere in your search for knowledge. Is C. So I've got 31C, 32A, 33D, 34A, 35B, 36C. Let's see how many of these I've got right. So we're on test 3, part 5, right? Might be best to go down this way. I'm almost nervous. So where are we? Test 3 key, listening, and here we are, part 5. CAD, CAD, ABC, ABC. Got them all. How did you do? Are there any doubts? Anything that you want to go over? Let me know in the comments. If not, I'll see you in the next video. And members, as I say, I'm very sorry. 5 days, I've barely been able to speak. I'm starting to run out a little bit of energy now towards the end of this video. I'm working on some exclusive videos. They're going to be coming out very soon. If personalized video, personalized content, exclusive content is something that might interest you, have a look at the blue button under this video and have a look at the payment options for this channel. If not, I'll see you in the next free video that's for everybody. Bye.